like fall, this morning, it felt crisp.
Yeah.
As opposed to sweaty, which is what it's been for like months and months and months.
Well, good. I see I've got a couple of people joining on the Zoom. Sorry we kept you, but here we are now. Welcome, everybody. Good Yontif. Shana Tova. I see Mildred's iPad is also on its way in. We'll see if it gets there. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Look at that.
Technology, just like that picture.
Wow. We're working out of our Rosh Hashanah Siddur booklet. But if you don't have it, it's okay, because we're going to lead everything from the front. Oh, well, so sometimes we are just back and forth between Shabbat Shalom and Good Shabbos. We got those today. But we also have Shana Tova and Good Yontif and Good Yor and what else? Other greetings? Happy New Year. Shana Tova Umetuka, right? A happy and sweet New Year. Yeah, a happy and sweet.
Ask what that was.
Sweet. A happy, sweet New Year. Any other greetings? We could say, what? Happy fall?
Almost.
Yeah. Is it not? Yes,
About
20, right? We got an equinox to get to, or?
We do.
Yeah.
We do. Today is what, the 15th. So
yeah.
By next Shabbat it will be.
So
we'll be in it.
We're at a time of turning. If you are,
if you want.
Yeah, if you are a person whose life lives on the academic year, this always feels like the beginning to you. School is starting. You could be a teacher. You could be a school administrator. You could be a student. The summer was really the end, right? And now this is the beginning again. And somehow, when we move out of the academic world in our society and into, I don't know, the work world or outside of school anyway, it feels like Rosh Hashanah is a little bit more abstract in the rhythms of our lives. But it is a time of beginning. So time is sometimes an uninterrupted flow. And just like Shabbat does each week, Rosh Hashanah does each year, an opportunity to mark and say, okay, from this point back is the past. From this point on is the future. And what are we going to do to orient ourselves toward what's possible for the future? To make it sweet. So let us try to do that with one another. The blessings for the candles that bring us in are twofold, because it is a yontif, so it's lahad likner shel yom tov, but also Shabbat, lahad likner shel Shabbat v'shel yom tov. Shabbat comes first in the sequence. And then, on top of all that, shehechianu, because it's a special moment. So I don't know, Tzipporah, do you think you have all those pieces in your repertoire? We'll see what happens. Okay, well, Ron was still upstairs trying to get someone, so maybe Sharon, can you help Tzipporah come up? Because we start with candles almost right away. If you turn to page 1 in your Machzor, another special word for a prayer book that talks about returning, because it returns again and again each year. Creator of beginnings, as you created the world on this day, uniting fragments into a universe, so help unite our hearts and the hearts of our people to serve you. Illumine our lives with the light of your Torah, for by your light do we see light. Grant us this year a glimpse of the light of redemption, the light of healing and of peace. So Sharon, if you can just grab the light from the pilot and the light, get your candle going a little bit more before you risk it. Oh. Let's see, hang on. This one got treated. Up, stand by. Oh yeah, see, I did it. Here. Oh, Ron's back? Okay, come on. Hang on, let's swap out for Ron. Here you go, the expert. I didn't know you were. That's okay. Here we go. The candles are happening.
Here we go.
Mhm. Amen.
Amen.
How about a Shehechianu? Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lahazman hazeh. Praised are you, Adonai, creator of the universe, for keeping us in life, sustaining us, and helping us to reach this moment. Page 2. A new alternation. I'll do the ones that are all the way to the left, and if you could join in the indented lines, we will each have our parts. This Rosh Hashanah, each of us arrives with different needs. Together,
Some hearts are full of gratitude and joy. They are overflowing with the happiness of love and the joy of life.
they are eager to confront the day to make the world more fair.
They are recovering from illness or have escaped misfortune.
We rejoice with them.
Some hearts ache with sorrow.
Disappointments weigh heavily upon them, and they have tasted despair.
Families have been broken. Death has taken those whom they cherish.
May our presence and sympathy bring them comfort.
Some hearts are embittered. Life has lost its meaning and value.
May the knowledge that we too are searching restore their hope that there is something to find.
Some spirits hunger.
They long for friendship, they crave understanding, they yearn for warmth.
May we, in our common need, gain strength from one another.
Sharing our joys, lightening each other's burdens, and praying for the welfare of our community. We turn to page 3. I was trying to, this was a little bit brought up in my conversation a minute ago with Judith about the special melodies or pieces that show up on the holidays. If someone is a person who goes to synagogue regularly, maybe even has a daily prayer practice or a weekly Shabbat practice, and is very familiar with that liturgy and those melodies, then the differences that show up on the holidays jump out as an obvious contrast. But many people don't have such a regular practice, and so all that happens for them when they come for the holidays, they say, well, that's not the tune I know. Why did you change it? And I think the parallel that I've been thinking of is if you are, let's say, a devoted fan of the Beatles or Bruce Springsteen or any other artist who generates a passionate fan base, and you are used to all the repertoire, and then you go to a live concert, not the Beatles, but let's say Bruce, and you hear him do a song differently than usual. Or you hear that there's a new found recording of John Lennon and Paul McCartney singing a song, not the one that was released, but a different way. You hear every little nuance, every little change, and it marks kind of a different interpretation. And in some ways, that's what many of us are missing when we come to the liturgy of the holidays, the frame of reference to say, I see what they're doing here. They're approaching that familiar material in a new way musically, or they've changed the words and this phrase isn't usually there. All those things jump out, but this isn't a Springsteen concert, and maybe you don't know the liturgy as well as, people who grew up at the East Meadowlands every year. And so we do our best to kind of bridge the context that will help these differences jump out in their way. One of the easiest ways to connect at the evening services is that melody that shows up throughout the holiday, especially in the evening. I'll sing it through as a nigun, and then you'll see how it comes in the final lines, the chatimot of many of the blessings. So it goes like this. If you know it, sing along. Yai rai 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 rai. Yai rai 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 rai. Yai rai 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 rai. Yai rai 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 rai. Yai rai 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 rai. Yai rai rai rai. And we can apply it here for the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chochma poteach she'arim uvitvuna meshane itim umachalif et hazmanim umisader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem b'rakia kirtzono bore yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or umavir yom umevi layla umavdil ben yom uven layla Adonai tzvaot shemo El Chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Yai rai 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 Yai rai 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 Yai rai 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 Yai rai 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 Yai rai 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 Hama'ariv Aharavim. Page 4. Praised be Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, whose word brings on the evening. Together.
With wisdom you open heaven's gates. With understanding you make the days pass and the seasons alternate.
Your will controls the stars as they travel through the sky.
Creator of day and night, you roll light away from darkness and darkness from light. You cause day to pass and bring on the night.
Adonai of hosts is your name. O living and eternal God, rule us always to the end of time. Blessed is Adonai, whose word makes evening fall. Page 5. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'aderech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם המזוזות ביתך ובישעריך. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and all your might. Set these words which I command you this day upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be a symbol before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Page 6. Mi chamocha bairim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar bakodesh, nora tehilot hosef ele. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha bokayam lifnei Moshe ze'elianu ve'amru Adonai yimloch לעולם ועד. ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני. יאי די 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 די. יאי די 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 די. יאי די 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 די. גאל Yisrael. Who is like you, eternal one, among the gods that are worshipped? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, doing wonders? Together,
in their escape from the sea, your children saw your sovereign might displayed.
This is my God, they cried, the eternal will reign forever and ever.
Now let us all come to say, the eternal has redeemed Israel and all the oppressed. Blessed is the eternal God.
Page 7. So here is one of those lines that doesn't show up usually in an evening or a Shabbat service. It's a quote that speaks of Rosh Hashanah from the Torah, or at least later on was identified with Rosh Hashanah because of its prominent mention of the shofar and the time of year. Tikhu b'chodesh shofar, blast the announcement of the new month with the shofar, B'kesa leyom chagenu, when the moon is covered, when there's no moon, which is always confusing to me that the new moon is the no moon. I always want to see a moon that is there, but this is the day before, right? And there's a sliver then the next day. Ki chok Yisrael hu mishpat lelohei Yaakov. It is an ongoing, a permanent rule for Israel and the God of Jacob. And it also works with our tune. Tichu v'chodesh shofar, b'kesel yom chagenu, ki chok leYisrael hu mishpat lelohei Yaakov. Sound the shofar on the new moon at the time appointed for our new year. Together.
Its observance is a law for Israel, ordained by the God of Jacob.
So here we make our way into the Amidah. Amidah is a concept we're familiar with at any service. It's the prayer that stands right there at the center, morning, noon, and night, or morning, afternoon, and evening. There's an Amidah of some kind or another, and on Shabbat and Rosh Chodesh and holidays, there's an extra one, and on Yom Kippur, there's an extra one. But the differences for the Amidah on the holidays are around the number of blessings, which changes, and the melody for those blessings, and some additions, like you'll find touch on the themes that are connected to the shofar. Zichronot, remembrances. Malchuyot, kind of sovereignty, or what I think of as the things that I'm not in charge of, right? That I don't have direct control over. And shofarot, which is the shofar, but maybe the kind of awareness of that, right? Being brought to our attention. So you'll see where those words, Zicharon and Melech and shofar, emerge even here in our abbreviated liturgy. And the tune is different. Page 7. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevi Gola Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo, Be'ahava. Page 8. Praised are you, Adonai, our God and God of our ancestors, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob, God of Sarah, God of Rebekah, God of Rachel, and God of Leah. Great, mighty, awesome, exalted God who bestows loving kindness, creator of all. You remember the pious deeds of our ancestors and will send a Redeemer to their children's children because of your loving nature. Remember us unto life, O ruler who delights in life, and inscribe us in the book of life for your sake, O God of life. Zochreinu lechaim, melech hafetz b'chaim, v'chatveinu b'sefer hachayim, lemancha Elohim chayim, melech ozer u'moshia u'magein, baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham, Vezrat Sarah, and we say, Amen. You are God who helps and saves and shields. Praised are you, Adonai, shield of Abraham and help of Sarah. Page 9. Hatagibur leolam Adonai, Rav lehoshia. Mechalkel chaim b'chesed, mechaye kol chai berachamim rabim, somech noflim v'rofech olim, umahatir asurim, umekayem emunato lihishene afar, michamocha ba'al givurot, umido melach, Melech mehemit u'mechaye u'matzmiach Yeshua v'ne'emah nata l'hachayot kol chai baruch atah Adonai mechaye kol chai. Amen. Let Israel, your people, and all peoples know peace forever. Let the great shofar of freedom be sounded for us and all peoples. Let peace and freedom reign in all the world. Let every wanderer come home from the bitterness of exile, and may our eyes behold your return to Zion in mercy. Then will Jerusalem, the city of David, be the city of peace, the joy of all the world. The land of Israel and its people will see freedom and peace. We pause for a few moments of silent prayer on this Erev Rosh Hashanah. Three, two. Ose shalom bimroma, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom. Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ve'imru, imru. Amen. Good Yontif. Good Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom. Shana Tova. All those things. All the things we say. Well, I want to tell a brief story before we move into the rest of the familiar holiday liturgy. That's a good, yeah. I don't even know if you know this story, John, so we'll see. One of the significances of Rosh Hashanah, as I think we know, is that it's the beginning of the 10 days leading up to Yom Kippur, right? It has its own stature. It is the birthday of the world. It celebrates God's majesty or rule, which again, for me, I mostly connect to in this idea of like reminding myself that things that are out of my control. I don't know exactly if I envision where they're managed the way my ancestors did, but I still know they're still not mine, like they weren't theirs. And sometimes we wrestle with those things that are out of control. And when we think about our year gone by or our years gone by, we're invited to think about the places where we fell short or the things that we messed up on or the harms that we did to other people. But lest we turn that into kind of an exercise in beating ourselves up, often we are reminded that the Hebrew word that gets translated in English as sin, chet, really means, from an etymological standpoint, something closer to like a miss. You know, like a try and a miss, as opposed to like, you know, a smear or a stain, you know, or something like that. It's a failed attempt. Right? And so there, if we think about it that way, we could say like, okay, what do I need to do so that my next attempt has a greater chance of being a hit? That's good. I mean, I think that's helpful redirection. It's constructive and less shame-inducing. But I also think it misses, no pun intended, but used anyway, it misses the idea that even our misses can teach us things more than just how to be more accurate next time. You know, it teaches us things about ourselves, and that's why the theme I've been thinking about for this year, for the holidays, is about the gifts of failure. You know, the things that we do that are unsuccessful, are failures or whatever, either in the way that they are seen by others or the way that we've seen them, and what we get out of our failures or what we might get from our failures that we sometimes don't. So failures come in large and small packages, right? Big ones and little ones. And one of the failures of mine that I was thinking about that I never sufficiently mind until many, many years later, but they wait for you, don't worry, is that when I was in high school, and we were in high school together, although you were a year ahead of me, it hardly counts these days. When I was in high school, I had some ups and downs with subjects that I really loved, but I wasn't always so good at, for reasons that I didn't fully understand. And one of them was math, in particular calculus. And I wasn't sure how it was going to go, but my first half of my senior year, I did really well in calculus. And even though I didn't have to take calculus the second half of senior year, I did anyway. And even though I got signed up with a teacher who was more reputedly challenging, I went ahead anyway. And I failed. And it kept me from graduating on time. Instead of graduating with my class in June, although I got to walk the stage, I didn't officially graduate until August because I had done a theater program over the summer, and that counted as an elective. And really all I needed was an elective. I didn't need a math credit. I just did it for fun. But I carried with me for years this sort of embarrassment, shame. I mean, everybody who walked across that stage at Avery Fisher Hall, which is where we graduated, got a fake piece of paper, because you really got the real one from the office at school, a different time. But my piece of paper was doubly fake, because not only wasn't it the real one, I wasn't even entitled to the real one yet, because of my own sort of like aspiration or hubris or over dreaming or whatever it was. And it wouldn't be a big deal, except that, one, it was a big deal to me. And because it was such a big deal when I went to college and I wanted to continue those subjects, I didn't even back up to try again. I just continued as if I had been successful in those classes, and I wasn't successful in those classes because I didn't give myself enough room to absorb the success, the need. And so I held on to this sort of tension about what I could have done, what I should have done, what I ought to have been able to do, what I couldn't kind of power my way through. Fake it till you make it. You don't always make it. Sometimes you just fake it until you run out of steam. But I have to say that experience, as painful as it was, and while I don't think I would choose it again if I was able to go back and make those choices, has taught me more about myself and the needs I have to be realistic with myself, to accept help, to seek help, to understand what does and doesn't really define me as what of me is valuable and what isn't. It's a never exhausted experience of what it is that I get to go back and look at. And I trust that everybody here has experiences in their past, recent or distant, that knocked the wind out of you for some short, medium, or long length of time, and that you may have been able to mine for wisdom or insight about yourself, about the world, about the best way forward for you. Or maybe there are things that are still too hot, and you touch them and you pull your finger away and you're like, not yet. It took me years before I was ready to go back to that and not just say like, well, it's okay. I had the rabbi thing. It turns out I wasn't a physicist,
Excellent.
But I think I'm not suggesting, because it's tempting, and that's why I'm not suggesting it, that if you think about every failure the right way, the pain isn't there, or the wound isn't there, or the injury isn't real. That is really Pollyanna-ish and naive, and I think another way to blame a person if they still feel bad about the things that they feel bad about. But we can nevertheless approach with compassion and curiosity and love those parts of our earlier selves that got hit, where we missed, or what came at us didn't miss, and knocked us out. So I'll end with this one thought. Having been thinking about this theme for the holidays, I was delighted and surprised, and took it to my own credit, that in the New York Times today there was an article about one of the healthiest things you can do for your kids is encourage them to fail and praise them for their failures and their willingness to fail and to pick themselves up. I do think that early on in life, certainly like when you're a toddler learning to walk, nobody thinks every time you lose your balance and you fall down on your tush, nobody's like, I can't believe you're not walking, right? What a failure. No, it's that little failure is the thing that teaches you how to try differently the next time. But there's something about our culture or our psyche or whatever that stops allowing that, as easily. And I think there's both healing culturally and personally when we approach those failures post-toddlerhood with care and to learn from what it is that they have to teach. So that's my invitation to you all to be thinking about where you learned whatever you learned about failure and whether or not it's tolerated, whether you should tolerate it in yourself or in people that you care about, and reflect on whether or not you agree with that lesson plan. When we turn in a moment to page 10 and 11 and we think of these words, Avinu Malkeinu, when I had trouble at the end of high school, I was like, help! Wanted my parents to bail me out, of whatever situation it was. And so in some senses, the liturgy here says, I lost it, but somebody's in charge. If somebody could throw me a line, I could use a life ring, a preserver, whatever it is. And that's a little bit the energy that's here. It's encouraging a bit of humility to say, if you're in charge, I could use a hand.
Contribute something?
Okay.
Well, I didn't get to take calculus when I was in high school because it was offered at the same time as music theory. I think I probably made the right choice by taking music theory. However, I also almost didn't graduate high school because I cut gym. Obviously, athletics is not my strong suit.
Because you cut gym.
Because I wanted nothing whatsoever to do with those people.
Yeah.
So the last quarter of high school, in order to graduate, I had to take gym every day. But by that time, we were doing archery, and I got to shoot arrows at things. I never hit the target, ever. But it was really fun trying. So there's my failure story to add to this. But I had a really good time shooting at things.
And your archery thing is a great end because that's where that image of hitting and missing comes from in the biblical language. So.
I try to help.
You succeed.
Thank you.
And even when you fail, I appreciate it. Page 10. Teach us, O God, to labor for righteousness and inscribe us in the book of life, blessing, and peace. We praise you, eternal God, source of peace. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu V'Anenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu V'Anenu, Ki ein banu masim. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed, v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu V'Anenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu V'Anenu, Ki ein banu masim. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed, v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu Shema Kolenu. Together, Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, we have sinned against you. Avinu Malkeinu Chamol Aleinu V'Alol Aleinu V'Tzapenu. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and on our children. Avinu Malkeinu, Chale Dever V'Cherev V'Ra'av Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, make an end to sickness, war, and famine. Avinu Malkeinu, Chale Chosar U'Mastin Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, make an end to all oppression. Avinu Malkeinu, Katvenu B'Sefer Chayim Tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us for blessing in the book of life. Avinu Malkeinu, Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, let the new year be a good year for us. Avinu Malkeinu, Malei Yadeinu Mibirchotecha. Avinu Malkeinu, fill our hands with blessing. Page 12. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu ve'anenu, ki ein banu ma'asim, aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, be gracious and answer us, for we have little merit. Treat us generously and with kindness, and be our help. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gidula liotze breshit, shelo asanu kegoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkenu kahem, vegohor aleinu kechol hamonam. Va'anachnu korim u'mishachavim u'modim, Lifnei melech mochei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz. Bayom hahu yihye Adonai echad, u'shemo Echad. On that day, O God, you shall be one, and your name shall be one. Maybe, since we are going to do a little shofar before the end, maybe we should do it here. It's on page 17. We're doubly out of whack because some people don't blow the shofar when Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbat, since you might accidentally have to schlep your shofar to synagogue and you couldn't carry it. But since our shofar lives here, we didn't have to bring it anyway.
White shofar.
Right. That's also the case. Yeah, it works. Okay. John, would you do the calls? This is my colleague, Rabbi Jonathan Freirich, who you'll be able to worship with tomorrow. And let's see how this goes.
Tekiah, Shavarim Teruah, Tekiah, Shavarim, Tekiah, Teruah, Tekiah Gedolah.
So that's a wake up for me and everybody else. Well, thank you. I love the shofar. And I once gave a sermon that I won't give now that was about, even though does a shofar have to be curved, or is it just mostly curved? I don't think it has to be. I can't remember. And well, but they can come from other animals too that are straight. Yeah. So most shofarot are curved, and for the ones that are anyway, it was always my idea that, probably not mine originally, that the path back to wherever we need to go is usually not a straight one. So that the path towards where we need to go has some curves in it, and the shofar embodies that. Yeah, they can come from different, not all animals, but many animals. I'll tell you more later. No, not reindeer. But like an ibex, just like that, or an antelope, or a what? A kudu, like a kudu. So some of you who were here before we started got to practice or learn this new song that I wanted to offer again now. It's entitled "We Return" and "Hashivenu." So when I sing "We Return," you echo "We Return," and the culmination of each of the three verses has one word different, which you can catch. But the first verse we talk about love, the second verse we talk about truth, and the third verse the word is you. And you'll see where it comes in for us to do that. But this is all in the theme that both teshuvah, repentance and return, and the returning of the holiday of the new year are all part of this idea of renewing ourselves and getting back to the way we want to be. We return, we return, we return, return again. We return, we return, we return, return again and again to love. Love. We return again to love. We return. We return. We return, return again. We return. We return. We return, return again and again to truth. We return again to truth. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Kadesh Yameinu Yalla lai lai la lai, 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 yai lai la lai, yalla lai lai la lai, yalla lai lai la lai, yai lai la lai, yalla lai lai la lai. We return, we return, we return, return again. We return, we return, we return, return again and again to you. You. Page 14. God, you give us dear ones and make them the strength of our life and the light of our eyes. They depart from us and leave us bereaved. But you are the living source of our healing. To you, the stricken look for comfort and the sorrow-laden for consolation. On this solemn day of the new year, we see life as through windows that open on eternity. We see that love abides and the soul abides, as you, O God, abide forever. We see that our years are more than grass that withers, more than flowers that fade. In life and in death we cannot go where you are not, and where you are all is well. Sustained by this assurance, we praise your name, O God of life. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah. Be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chaye decho Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach la'alam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei kudsha brichu. La'ela u'la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran ba'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalom araba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May the source of peace grant peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And again we say, Amen. Ah. Well, on Shabbat, we sometimes ask for good news of the week to help fill our cup. But I guess what I'd like to ask for before Kiddush on the last page, the one without a number, page 18, they left off the chai. Okay, here you go. Turn from 17 to infinity on the next page. And any wishes for the new year. 1 word, 2 word, 3 word, not a paragraph. Just what do you hope is one of the things that's a part of the new year that we begin tonight? Anybody? Popcorn it out.
Peace.
Peace. Happy. Happy New Year. Health. Unity. Yeah. What else? Sweetness. Laughter. What else? Joy is good. Like that. That would be good. I would be happy if our cup could flow over with those things. So let's offer this blessing for those and many more in this sweet year to come. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol am v'romamanu mikol lashon v'kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'titen lanu Adonai Eloheinu b'ahava et yom hashabat hazeh ve'et yom hazikaron hazeh yom Torah mikra kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim kivan uvacharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim udvarcha emet v'kayam la'ad baruch ata Adonai melech al kol haaretz mikadesh Yisrael v'Yisrael v'yom hazikaron baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyimanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. Amen. L'chaim. L'shana tova tekatevu v'techatemu. May you be written and sealed for a good year in the book of life. It's a very verbose blessing. Let's see. Any other announcements? You want to come up? I mentioned, and he was off in the wings, Rabbi Jonathan Freirish, flying over.
Off in the wings.
Off in the wings, winging his way. Can you imagine that people sometimes confuse us for each other? The two short Rabbi Jonathans who went to the same high school and grew up in New York?
Never.
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 Not even. Anyway,
And there was a time when we both had hair.
yes. But now is not that time. I'm glad you have it. Yeah. So tomorrow morning and on Sunday, Rabbi Freirich will lead the congregation at 10:30. And I'm glad that it worked out for you to join us tonight so that it's a warm introduction all around.
I look forward to spending the Chagim with you. It's such an honor and a blessing to be with all of you.
We're glad to have
Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel like we should end with a song. Do you have a song? Achasha or something?
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
So I don't even know if it's in our book.
I don't think it is.
Okay. Well, then we'll just sing it. This is a verse that gets used a lot around the high holidays. Achat she'alti me'et Adonai ota evakesh, shifti bevet Adonai. Yeah?
Mhm.
Yeah. Now that I've said that, everybody knows it by heart, right? Okay. Achat she'alti be'et Adonai ota evakesh. Achat she'alti me'et Adonai ota avakesh. Shivti bevet Adonai kol yemei chayai. Lachazot benoam Adonai ulevaker bechalo. Lachazot benoam Adonai ulevaker bechalo. Shana Tova.
Ushana Tova.
Shana Tova to all of you out in Zoom land. Bye-bye.